Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to the review of the M41 HMC howitzer motor carriage. This is the Tier 5 American self-propelled gun. Historically, it was designed as the replacement for the M7 Priest artillery piece that the Americans had been using during the Second World War quite extensively. And it was basically an M24 Chaffee hull with a 155mm howitzer slapped on top. It didn't see service in the Second World War. The war ended before this thing went into production, or before this thing was ready. But it did see service in the Korean War, so this thing was produced and did see action. What do you get in-game? Well, it's a Tier 5 artillery piece. A lot of these stats are pretty much irrelevant. I'll talk about one or two of them. 230 hit points is okay. It can survive a hit or two before dying. It has a very respectable 56 km/h top speed limit, but don't let that fool you. You're only ever going to hit that going downhill. Its 296 horsepower engine is going to struggle to get up to that. Traverse speed of 20 degrees a second is terrible. Gun traverse speed of 10 degrees a second is also not very good. This thing is not particularly good in a close range knife fight, even by artillery standards. I'm not going to go into Tank Inspector to talk about the armour, because the armour is trash. Shoot this thing anywhere except in the tracks with your high explosive shells, and they will most likely penetrate and do a shed ton of damage. It's also open-topped into the bargain, just in case that wasn't bad enough. The gun I'll talk more about a little bit in a moment. The view range is 310. In a recent patch, all of the artillery had their view range slapped down, so it's not as if you're really going to be spotting anything with this. Signal range of 750 meters, which is very respectable, but nothing to really get too excited about. What about that there gun? Well, there's one gun. We'll talk about the grind in a minute, but this is the only gun you can use on this tank. 155mm howitzer, and the thing you will notice immediately, having come from the M7 and then the M37, is that your gun just got a whole world bigger. You went from a 105 to a 155mm gun. 2.5 rounds per minute rate of fire, however, yeah, you're having a reload of something of the order of 25 or 20 odd seconds. HE shells have 78 pen and do 700 alpha damage, and if you're going to fire heat, your penetration goes up to 240, and your alpha damage is exactly the same. Yeah, it's one of those guns. Now, you might be looking at and thinking, heat, holy crud, that can do a shed ton of damage, but remember, the heat shells don't explode, you have to get a direct hit, and the accuracy of 0.82, yes, that's 0.82, means that getting direct hits is decidedly non-trivial. Aiming time of 7 seconds, which is also not particularly great. I mean, if we compare this, the closest comparison gun I can think of is the 15cm gun on the Gorilla, the German Tier 5. And they're quite similar weapons in many ways. The German weapon fires slightly faster, the American gun hits a bit harder, the heat ammunition is much better, the German gun is more accurate and aims faster. In my opinion, the German gun is all round better, and actually one thing that's not displayed on here, the effective range of the American gun is also much greater. So you can shoot across the map with this gun, but that accuracy and that aim time is really going to mess you up. The traverse arc is relatively respectable, but the accuracy and aim time is still going to get on your nerves, especially with the terrible bloom values that this gun gets. So yeah, that's the gun. The grind, well, effectively there isn't a grind. There is only one gun, you can't use another gun. Oh, well, I can briefly talk about the rest of the tree, but I mean, I've got a review up already of the M37, so if you're really interested, go and look at that. But T1, who cares? T57 is an artillery piece that actually gets some armour. Obviously you don't want to be using the armour if you don't have to, but it does get some armour. M7 Priest at Tier 3 is okay, nothing particularly special. M37 at Tier 4 was, as far as artillery goes, actually a relatively fun little machine. And then you move on to the M41 HMC at Tier 5, which, spoiler alert, I despise. Yeah. So, the grind, as I was saying, there really isn't one, because there's only one gun. There's top suspension you won't have, but every other top module you can have unlocked on the M37. So you can just completely skip the suspension if you really want, before going on to the M44. So there really isn't a grind, although the suspension will of course increase your traverse speed, which is good. So you might want to get it after all. So there isn't really a grind on this tank. As you get it is as good as it gets, and that's kind of good and kind of bad. what about things like equipment and crew skills? Well, equipment, this is probably not going to come as a massive surprise, but I am going to recommend a gun rammer, medium caliber artillery shell rammer. 155mm gun only counts as medium caliber. Okay, fair enough. What else? Enhanced gun laying drive to try and get that aim time down, and then the third equipment slot, kind of up to you. You can make a case for a camo net, or the thing is, before they slapped the artillery pieces view range down, maybe binocular telescopes would have been an option, just to try and spot some things if the situation called for it. But it's not really. I mean, you have 310-meter view range, but then, yeah, it's either camo net or binos. I can't really see any other piece of equipment worth mounting on this thing. The other two, of course, being rammer and an enhanced gun laying drive. Consumables, I've put these three in just because they were standard, but you could try swapping out one of them for gasoline, just to try and run away a bit faster when the situation calls for it, or a case of cola, just to all-round buff your crew skills. They are both viable options. A quick note on the ammunition for the gun, actually, while I'm looking at this screen. So here's your high explosive ammo, 3.78 meter splash radius, which is not too shabby. I mean, it's not fantastic, you know, it's not the best in the game or anything, but it's not too shabby. You can see I haven't loaded any heat ammo because it's damn expensive. It's premium ammo, and as I mentioned, the inaccuracy of the gun and the fact that you'd need to land direct hits would just make me want to kill puppies. So what about crew skills? 6th sense on your commander, camo on everyone else. Second skill, brothers in arms, just to try and get that aim time down, the reload down, things like that. I'm not going to do my standard thing of going to talk about the crew modules, the module locations and the armor, because it's completely irrelevant. Module locations, if you're getting shot in this, you're probably dead. People aren't going to be aiming for module locations. And armor, it's terrible. If people shoot you with HE, you will die. If people shoot you with AP, you will die. If people shoot you, you will just die. Make sure you look at the minimap ahead of time and see trouble coming and move before trouble is here, because it's not a particularly agile machine. As I said, don't let that 56 km/h top speed fool you. You're only ever going to reach that going downhill. Most of the time you're probably going to be trundling along at about 20-30 km/h, something of that ilk. So do keep an eye on the minimap to check whether trouble is on its way, and if trouble is on its way, scoot quickly. Yeah, don't think there's really that much more to say about this thing at the moment. Let's go and have some gameplay and then I'll round things off. So here's a little bit of gameplay. As you can see, we are bottom tier. This is a tier 7 game. We are of course a tier 5 machine. But when you're in artillery, frankly, it really doesn't make that much difference. And actually, a lot of the time, you would rather be bottom tier, because generally speaking, you don't penetrate what you shoot at anyway. And you like the extra experience for shooting higher tier stuff. And especially when you're at tier 5, if you're having to shoot tier 3s, a lot of them are light tanks. They're small, they're relatively mobile. I mean, there aren't many big, slow, ponderous machines to shoot at. So being bottom tier is not horrendous. This is an assault game on Sand River. We are defending. This is of course patch 9.7, so this is before they changed this map. And there's some targets. So just slew the gun around and we'll have a look at the Panzer IV-H, and this is where you can see the aiming time. Now bearing in mind, I don't think this is a 100% crew that you're watching here. But this game really is going to illustrate how much, well, artillery in general, and specifically this tank, how much it has to do with luck. Take that shot blind, and I'm rewarded with the kill. So, one shot, one penetration, one same tier, full health kill. And my aiming circle was still massive, even though I was fully aimed in. So, yeah. Target number 2, the Chiri. Aim in, aim in, aim in. He's disappeared, but he's probably still there. Oh, he's moving. Just trying to track this guy. Yeah, no. So I'm just trying to keep looking at where he's likely to turn up. We've got an MT-25 who looks like they're about to spot him, or they're going to try to spot him. There we go, there's the Chiri. Aim and aim and aim and fire and miss. Yay! So there we go. The gun is inaccurate, long aim time. The gun arc is of a respectable size. But that terrible bloom values, the long aim time, all this makes it quite painful to use. So, switching targets over here toward these tier 7 machines, tier 7 heavy tanks. Tiger 1, can we get a shot on him? He may well be a kill, if we could. Another Tiger 1 on full health, let's shoot at the stationary one. So if artillery is in the game, do try moving. And there we go. That was a penetrating HE round. These rounds, of course, when they penetrate, do 700 damage with 78 average penetration. Heat is an option. High penetration, but you'd need a direct hit to make the heat work. And this gun is just... it's not accurate enough for that to be even vaguely reliable, to be honest. So that was a penetrating hit on a tier 7 heavy tank. And there's a second for 723 damage. Second penetrating shot on a tier 7 heavy tank. High damage roll against him. Not sure about the Tiger because it showed me the combined damage roll, but certainly a high damage roll against the IS-2. So there we go. We have done something of the order of 2,000 damage with 3 shots. Well, 4 shots if you count the one that just plain missed. IS-2 is burning to death, and Type 58. Near miss for 176. And trying to move after every shot, standard artillery stuff. Nashorn. Nah. Oh, no, we do have a shot. I thought he was going to go behind that rock and make the shot awkward, but apparently not. He's just going to sit out in the open and aim, and aim, and aim. Still aiming. This is why I recommend a gun laying drive. Take the shot. Someone's already done a chunk of damage, which is a shame because, well, we pick up the kill, but it was only for 90-something damage. And they're in a whole world of trouble now. KV-85. Can we do some damage to him as well? Oh, he's disappeared from view. And we've reached the stage now, there's not really any point me moving between shots, because I imagine the enemy artillery has far more pressing things to worry about rather than where our artillery is. And take the shot at some point, Chip. Surprised I haven't taken the shot yet, to be honest.
5-minute warning.
Right, he's stationary. Take the damn shot. Missed. Oh well, he's only got 15 health left. He's dead. There's only 2 of them remaining, Jagdpanther and the Lorraine artillery. I mean, this has been a pretty easy and convincing victory, to be honest. And aim at the Jagdpanther. He's only got 92 health remaining. He's dead. Where's their artillery? Somewhere around here. Now these shots of course are being taken over 1 kilometre away, so it shouldn't come as a great surprise if these shots take a while to reach their target and subsequently miss. There's the artillery. And aim again. I mean, this is not really showing you anything particularly special about this tank, to be honest, but it's quite hard to have an artillery replay that shows you something special about, well, most artillery pieces. 219 there, I think that just exploded on his tracks rather than penetrating. Because they're... well... it's not as if you can angle your armour or most of the time show phenomenal speed. There we go, E25 picks up the kill. I'm just showing this replay because we do well in this game. But it's not because I play particularly well, it was just the luck of the draw. Roll the dice, see what happens sort of thing. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the results. So that was an ace tanker game, bruiser, high caliber and Gauze medal. Gauze medal is one available to artillery only. You get it for doing, I think it's more than 10 times your own health in damage. We did 2,429 damage. 2 kills, 1022 base experience, putting us at the top of either team on either damage or experience earned. But mostly because we got those lucky penetrating shots on tier 7 heavy tanks with our HE shells. You know, 1500 of that damage was in 2 shots, roughly 1500, was in 2 shots to 2 tanks 2 tiers higher than us. That's how we got the XP and credits and all that jazz. Speaking of credits, we made 41,441 credits profit. That was with a premium account. Without, it would have been 26,000 credits. Tier 5 is profitable. 8 shots fired, 5 hits, 5 pens, 1 splash for that damage count. 6 enemy vehicles destroyed, damaged, 2 destroyed, and you can see our experience there. Not a particularly long game as it was, so yeah, there we go. Let's just quickly nip back to the garage and round things off. Alright, so what do I think overall? Well, as some of you who've seen some of my other videos will know, or you'll have noticed earlier on in the video, I despise this machine. Okay, so this might go wrong. I'm going to look at my statistics in it. Oh, wow. I managed that in the end? Good God. At one point, my win rate in this machine was down at about 25%. It's now at 51%. Hurrah, after 57 games played in it. It's pretty horrible. I've never got a Mark of Excellence in it. Oh well. I got a Gauze medal in it, which you'll have seen in the game just now. A couple of high calibers. What's wrong with it? Well, the accuracy sucks. It's frustrating as all hell to play, and a lot of the time you will have games where you achieve very, very, very little. And when you consider that its competition at tier 5, things like the Grilla and the Bishop, both of which for my money are vastly superior, I can't really recommend this machine. I haven't played the French one because when I was at that level in the French artillery line, that was back when artillery only went up to tier 8. It was before patch 8.6, it's before they rebalanced it all. So I can't claim to have played the tier 5 French artillery piece, even though it's entirely possible that the game will tell you that I have played it. Yes, I have actually played the AMX-13 AM, but when I played it, it was at tier 4. And got a different gun selection. So I can't really claim any knowledge of that, to be honest. So yeah, the M41 HMC, it's not a great machine in my opinion. In fact, I would probably argue it's the worst tier 5 artillery piece out there, if we're going to be brutally honest. Not a fan of it at all. I don't recommend this. Even if you're an artillery fan, I don't really recommend this. I would try and avoid it if you possibly can. Now, that's perhaps slightly awkward because if you decide that you want to branch into the artillery line from the light tank line, then firstly, why? But secondly, that's how you would do it, going from the Chaffee to the M41. It's a branching tank, which means it's more likely to get played, but even so, it's a pretty painful experience, and I can't honestly recommend that you do so. So yeah, that was my quick little review of the M41 HMC. It was a shorter review than usual because there's an awful lot of things you don't have to worry about when discussing artillery. Armour, you know, who cares? Things like that, and because the grind on this tank is basically non-existent. So, I hope you guys vaguely enjoyed that rundown of this little thing. Possibly found it vaguely informative. If you did, please feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.